Hey everyone, hope you're all going well. Life is Strange 2 was finally unveiled a short time ago with this quick 20-second teaser. It's coming in September, it's very exciting, and there's a few things to discuss which I do in this video, analyzing a few things from the trailer. So if you haven't seen that first, I'd recommend checking it out because this video will only focus on two really spoilery but interesting things that we've learned about Season 2, and I take a more in-depth look at Captain Spirit, which is coming out very soon. I started working on this video a while ago and it kind of got delayed because of stuff, so I had to change up the intro a bit, but now this is out of the way, let's resume our previously scheduled program. Awkward voice change in 3, 2, 1. Starting with arguably the biggest piece of news from the Square Enix livestream featuring co-game director Michel Coe, where he mentions that our final choice in Life is Strange Season 1, sacrificing Arcadia Bay or sacrificing Chloe, will carry over into Life is Strange Season 2. He goes on to say that our final choice will affect some elements of the next game, and both choices will have consequences in Season 2. Now, a little later, they do talk about how much of an impact our final choice will have on the next game, and does mention that because Life is Strange 2 will be focusing on new characters and new stories, it won't affect anything major. However, because both games are set in the same universe, the events from either of those choices, depending on what you chose, will exist in the next Life is Strange game. Michel goes on to say that the reason they've done this is because they don't want to canonize either ending. Both are valid and both can happen in Season 2. It hasn't been exactly confirmed how this will work, whether they'll read out previous save game data from Season 1 or whether they'll give us that choice again in some way in Season 2. The exact wording Michel uses in the Square Enix livestream is, "We will get your choice in Life is Strange 1, which I guess would indicate that they will get our previous save game data, but I mean, he could just be talking about the choice in general.
But for Life is Strange 2, I don't know if I can say that or not.
Okay.
Can I?
I don't know.
Okay, so I will say it. I don't know.
Okay.
That for Life is Strange 2, definitely we will get your choice in Life is Strange 1, and it will affect some elements in Life is Strange 2.
Okay.
So there is no canon ending for sure, and the players with either one or the endings will have some consequences for this ending in the next game.
Okay, fair enough.
So, finally, confirmation that our final choice will carry over into the next Life is Strange. My personal take on this is that it's good. I think it's the right move for them not to canonize either ending and potentially anger a large portion of the fan base. Since either choice won't impact anything major in Season 2, I'm pretty sure that any consequence from these choices would be pretty minimal. It might simply be reduced to newspaper clippings of either the town being destroyed or a local girl gets shot in school bathroom. The most major difference I could think of that could potentially be in Season 2 might be a returning character with a very small role. Maybe it could be an entirely different character depending on what you chose, maybe it's the same character with different dialogue, maybe they can give us some insight into what happened after the town was destroyed or after Chloe was buried. Maybe this is just wishful thinking, maybe Donut won't go this far and instead just have small references here and there. But we can dream. Then all of this kind of brings up the question of, if our final choice will be counted in the next Life is Strange, what about our other choices? Obviously this doesn't work for the Sacrifice Chloe ending since the week we made all those choices would be erased. But if you chose to sacrifice Arcadia Bay, what happens with all the outcomes from all your other choices? Take saving Kate for example. If only our final choice is counted, what happens with her? Did we save her on that rooftop or not? Would she even exist in Season 2 even if we chose to sacrifice Arcadia Bay and the town got destroyed? I mean, if there's one outcome Donut should canonize, I think it should definitely be the one where Kate lives. What about our choice to kiss Chloe or not? What about Max and Chloe's entire relationship? If they drove away from a destroyed Arcadia Bay, would they be doing so as friends or gal pals? If Season 2 does read our save data, then maybe they can take some of these into account, but if it doesn't, and we have to make our choice again physically in Season 2 when it's just that choice, then Donut might need to canonize other specific events during Season 1, such as Kate being alive and Max and Chloe being together. Right? That's how it would go. Right? In the end, we now know a lot, but we really don't know a lot about how this will work. I do want to mention quickly that it seems Captain Spirit won't take into account our final choice from Season 1. Michel was pretty vague about this, but he did mention that any reference or nod to Season 1, such as dates on documents, won't reference any specific ending.
We are basically finding ways in Captain Spirit that you will see the dates and etc. That the links with Life is Strange 1 are not affected by the ending.
So something to keep note of as we theorize things about Captain Spirit. The second biggest piece of news, coming straight from the same livestream, is that Max Caulfield will not be the only person in the Life is Strange universe with a supernatural power. Michel again mentions that he can't say much about this, but does reaffirm that Max won't be the only person with some strange supernatural abilities.
I cannot say much, I cannot say a lot about this, but I can still reassure you that she won't be the only one. That's just what I can say. You will have to see, but I don't want to say more than that. But definitely, she's not the only one with some strange abilities.
Obviously, it's Life is Strange, there's going to be some supernatural stuff going on, but the interesting thing about what Michel mentions is that he doesn't reference Max's time travel power specifically. He only talks about supernatural abilities in general, which to me sort of says that time travel might not be the core superpower in Life is Strange Season 2. They might be focusing on a new superpower entirely. Even Chris doesn't really have any special powers that we know of now. Instead, his ability in Captain Spirit is using the power of his imagination to transport him to different worlds. I'll talk a bit more about this and exactly what kind of power we'll get in Season 2 a little later. Personal take on this, without knowing exactly what kind of power will replace time travel, I'm curious to see what direction Donut want to go in, but a little concerned regarding what this means for our choices. A big part of Life is Strange was the fact that we can rewind certain decisions in the game and make different choices depending on the short-term outcome. Maybe not having this won't be a big deal. I pretty much said the exact same thing about Before the Storm back in the day, and making choices in that game is still fine, so maybe there's nothing too much to worry about here. Anyway, regardless of whatever power might be in Season 2, Max is no longer alone. There will be another person snooping around people's bedrooms with supernatural abilities in the Life is Strange universe. Now, before we move on to Captain Spirit, I did want to mention a few other things that we learned about Season 2. There's a possibility that there might be more than one story as the key focus in the next game. What I mean by that is, if you consider the story of Max meeting up with her best friend, going on adventures for 4 episodes, leading up to her climactic choice at the end of episode 5 as one story, then Season 2 might feature multiple types of this storytelling, revolving around different sets of characters. Now, this theory is a little rough, and I might be completely wrong, so I don't want to freak anyone out, but Michel does mention a few times throughout E3, such as in this interview with Greg Miller, that they have different sets of characters that will be in Season 2.
Over the past 2 years, we've been working hard on Life is Strange 2, and we'll talk about it in the coming months. So we have a bigger story, different sets of characters, and
again, who knows how solid this is. He could be referring to the different types of characters in a Life is Strange game, with diverse backgrounds and story arcs that we interact with through the eyes of one character, so maybe this is just a weird translation thing. There's different social issues they want to tackle with Season 2, things they want to bring to the awareness of the player like they did previously with cyberbullying, abuse, unemployment, and a number of other things. Captain Spirit already deals with a few new issues that I'll get into later. And finally, we should be learning more about Season 2 from Donod in the coming months. I know I kind of mentioned this in my previous video, but I just want to reassure people that we will be hearing more about the next Life is Strange after Captain Spirit, and I'll be making more videos the moment we hear anything about Season 2. Speaking of Captain Spirit, now that it's coming out in only a few days, I guess it's time we cover that new information we've learned and some things that I may have missed in the rush of making my original video. Now, I will be showing some of the new gameplay that's been shown around E3. It's about the first 10 minutes of the game. I don't think it's really spoilerish. They do apparently skip over some things that would normally be there. However, if you do want to experience it blind, I would recommend turning the video off now, and I'll see you guys in the first impression impressions video. If you do want to check it out, then stick around, it's pretty interesting. So let's start with Chris, who is actually not 10 years old as I reported previously. He's 9 years old, almost about to turn 10. A lot of people did point out to me that he looks very similar to Max in the promotional art with his arms stretched out, and when you compare the two, they definitely look very similar, even down to the freckles and the mouth structure. I am kind of leaning more towards this just being a subtle nod or throwback towards Max's pose in this image. I don't think at the moment that he's related to Max in any way, but if there are more people in the Life is Strange universe with supernatural powers and Chris happens to be one of them, that'll be theory number 1 to look at. Chris's parents do have names. Charles is his father and Emily his mother, who is absent from the demo. Both Chris and Charles find it difficult to talk about her, and it's unclear as to what has actually happened to her. However, the most popular theory is that she has recently passed away. More on this later. As I mentioned previously, we can find a letter from Principal Wells thanking Emily for her contributions to their art program, as well as a letter from Eugene State College regarding her withdrawal from the school due to her pregnancy. Being dated late 2006 would put this around Chris's birth, meaning that Emily would have had him when she was fairly young. At the moment, Chris and Charles both live alone in Beaver Creek, Oregon. Charles isn't in a good place financially, and it also seems emotionally. He expresses that he would like a new job since money is tight right now. All he can afford for his son on Christmas is a new basketball. He's drinking in the morning, which, judging by Chris's comment, is something he never used to do before. And even after Chris expresses some concern about it, he tries to hide it afterwards. Michelle has previously mentioned that as we explore the house and progress through the story, we'll learn a lot more behind Charles and Emily. More interestingly though, we can also uncover some darker secrets about the family. Everything isn't always as it seems in a Life is Strange game. Whether any of this relates to the disappearance of Emily is hard to say at this point. Jumping to gameplay quickly, a large part of Captain Spirit, rather than revolving around time travel, instead has Chris pretending to be his alter ego, Captain Spirit, and using his imagination to visit other worlds. The way this works is through power actions that pop up when you look at something you can interact with and hold left trigger or L2. This means Chris will interact with it as Captain Spirit and have a little more fun with it than he normally would. Sometimes these power actions can transport you into Chris's imagination, such as these shots from the trailer. I think this is cool and I'll probably talk about it a bit more once we actually play Captain Spirit. However, jumping back to the topic of the next superpower in Season 2, I think this gameplay system might give us an idea of what kind of power might be in the next Life is Strange. Something that allows you to interact with normal objects in a supernatural way. Maybe we can Wingardium Leviosa certain objects with our mind. Maybe instead of transporting to different worlds in our imagination, we can transport to alternate realities with different power actions. Kind of like how Max could visit alternate realities by changing the past. Instead here, you're changing the present to visit one of many possible futures. This would also keep the theme of time manipulation going in Season 2. There's a lot of possibilities here, so I'll definitely come back to this once we've actually played Captain Spirit. Something else you can do now with the right bumper or R1 button while controlling Chris is actually talking to people. Conversations now don't just happen in cutscenes, but can also happen while you're actually in gameplay exploring the world. When someone talks to you, just hold down the button and dialogue options pop up, allowing you to answer. I thought this was really cool. I'll take any opportunity for more dialogue and story. However, I do kind of worry about accidentally inspecting an object while in a conversation and cutting off that dialogue and missing out on that story. Don't really know if that's possible or not, but I hope it's not. The last thing I'll mention on gameplay is how the game actually plays. Again, Michelle multiple times throughout E3 describes Captain Spirit as a narrative sandbox, which was quite interesting to me. Previously, in both Life is Strange and Before the Storm, each episode is divided into chapters that are either cutscenes or levels you can explore, and those levels are spread across multiple locations. From my impressions of Captain Spirit, it seems that the whole game takes place in this one open level. You can go outside whenever you want, explore this storage, shed, garage thing, check out Chris's treehouse. There seems to be a lot more freedom in terms of where you can go and when. Now, this is only the first 10 minutes of the demo, so maybe it won't work exactly like this. There is a load screen between the outside and inside of the house, so I guess it's not truly open. Judging by this map, it seems that there are a few more places we can go beyond just Chris's house, which is pretty exciting. We do have objectives to complete, such as putting together Captain Spirit's costume, and it seems like we can tackle this however we want. It's still really all up in the air because of just how little we see. All in all, I'm still very excited to see what Donut can do with this more open concept and what it might mean for Season 2 as well. Last couple of things I'll mention, touching on the technical side of Captain Spirit, check out those reflections on the TV. The previous Life is Strange wouldn't show any reflection of Max on surfaces such as TVs, it was only a static image of the environment. Now with Captain Spirit running on an all-new Unreal Engine 4, we now have the technology for these game-changing graphics. For real though, I love these little details. Michelle also mentioned with this engine upgrade that they've completely redone their facial animations, and I guess I can kind of see it? I don't really want to judge it now because I'll judge it pretty harshly, so I'll just wait until we actually play it. I did want to talk a little more about Death with Dignity by Sufjan Stevens. Apparently it's not Sufjan Stevens. It'll also feature a song from Sufjan Stevens, which I am so fucking hyped about. Shows how much of a poser I am. Anyway, that part of the script became really long and I'm kind of running out of time to finish this video, so I might have to leave that one for another day, unfortunately. I do want to mention quickly that apart from being more integrated gameplay-wise, the song will tie in deeply with the main themes of Captain Spirit, and Sufjan's personal story behind the song will parallel Chris's. This comes back to Chris's mother being gone and some pretty heavy themes about grief and being lost. Again, I promise I will go more in depth with this song, but probably after Captain Spirit releases. Quick segue into time. If you're not in the right place at the right time, you can miss out on certain things that can happen. Exactly what you'll miss out on isn't clear, whether it's dialogue or certain events. However, if you're not in the house when something is going down, you can completely miss it, and you'll have to replay the game again to actually see it. You know I love doing that. Captain Spirit is currently available for preload on Xbox One, and it's about 3.5 gigabytes. Curiously, it's a much bigger download of 5 gigabytes on PC. Must be all that DRM they're adding in. No word yet on whether we can preload it on any other platforms, but we did get word on when it will actually be available at launch. Handy, but I kinda just want to preload it on my PC. And yeah, that's about everything, really. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Of course, I'll be back with the first impressions on Captain Spirit once I've actually played it. I've really missed doing those kinds of videos. Let me know how you feel about everything we covered today. Are you excited to have your final choice carry forward into Season 2? Is there anything you're most looking forward to in Captain Spirit? Are you ready to be hurt again? I'm not, but well, that's life I guess. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.